Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Indexer Office Hours. Today is the 19th of December, and this is IOH 138. Wow, how did I mess that up? For anyone who is new to Indexer Office Hours, welcome. This is the town square for ecosystem participants to come together and discuss the most important and relevant topics for indexers. This is a conversation. We love participation. So if any of you would like to get involved in today's conversation, we have quite a lot in the agenda. Feel free to either comment in the chat box in the corner there, which a lot of people are already doing, or feel free to unmute your mic. And if you're having any issues unmuting your mic, let me know and I will try and get that sorted for you. Alrighty. Final thing before we get into today's episode, or conversation, I'd say, this is recorded and it's going to be published onto public channels like YouTube. So if you're concerned about privacy, please bear that in mind. And with that, let's get into today's conversation. I'm going to hand it over to Anna for our regularly scheduled repo watch section.
Thank you, Abel. Hello, everyone. Apologies, I'm a bit congested, but I hope you can still hear me well. Okay, so on Repo Watch today, we have had a new release of Get, 2 new releases of Get. So starting with the least recent 1.13.6, which is a scheduled maintenance release containing some changes which will affect node operators around logging. And then we also have version 1.13.7, which fixes the ETH send transaction RPC method to behave more correctly for low-fee transactions. Then we have a new release for Firehose Ethereum. This is version 2.1.0. This is a bump to this major Firehose core 1.0.0 release. And what's important to know here is that when you're upgrading your stack to this release, you need to upgrade all components simultaneously because of the block encapsulation format that has changed. So blocks that are merged using the new mergeant will not be readable by previous versions. And since there's no simple way to revert, except by deleting the all the blocks and merged blocks that were produced with this version. So be careful when upgrading to this release and carefully read the release notes. Then we have also had a new release of Nethermind. This is version 1.24.0. This contains some performance improvements, so it reduces IOPS and bandwidth requirements during sync by about 200 megabytes of overall bandwidth during sync. And it's important to know it requires an additional 800 megabytes of metadata database for the mainnet. It adds supports for Optimism Sepolia and Base Sepolia, and it adds archive configuration support for Optimism and Base. What's really important to know about this release, so 1.24.0 Nethermind, is that once you upgrade, it cannot be downgraded. Once you upgrade or sync from scratch with it, you cannot downgrade to any of the previous versions. So please be very careful with this release. Next, we have a new version of Arbitrum Nitro. This is version 2.2.0. This release adds support for Arbitrum OS 11, which improves batch poster performance and continues splitting the execution and consensus parts of the node. Important here, there are some breaking changes. So any CLI flag starting with node, so node.caching, node.forwarder, and so on. So all of those flags have been moved from node.something to execution dot whatever the rest of it is. So make sure you update your configuration. This release will be available for Arbitrum Sepolia testnet and should the Arbitrum OS 11 Arbitrum DAO vote pass, then this release will be required for the Arbitrum-1 and Arbitrum-Nova mainnets during mid-January. And there'll be exact timelines on this. We're running this version in Sepolia, and we have also updated our Launchpad charts to show the change in the flag configuration. So if you're using Launchpad, you shouldn't see any breaking changes. All right, next consensus layer, we have had 2 new releases for Teku. So starting with the least recent 23.12.0, optional update with bug fixes and performance improvement. Important to know here, there was an issue with the new checkpoint sync URL option missing from the CLI help, and other issues around this particular flag, but they have been fixed in the next version, which is 23.12.1, which is an optional update, but contains the fixes for 23.12. And then that's all we have on the consensus client. Moving on to GraphStack, we have our very first full stable release for subgraph radio. So this is version 1.0.0. It contains config renaming, refactoring radio payloads, indexer address validation, removing Waku discovery ENR, plus a few other fixes. That's all I have for today. Just quickly checking. No comments from the chat, so handing over to Juan. Thank you, everyone, and I guess early happy Christmas or whatever if you're like celebrating.
Thanks, Hannah. So breaking news, we pretty much don't have anything to cover in Protocol Watch for the first time in ages. But just as a recap, no new updates for firm governance or research. But there's a small PR open for the contract repository, which is changes to integrate with the SDK. Nothing major for the network subgraphs. We don't have any new releases, although the FDS or file leaders as a release is close to being released to production. So yep, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna be handing over to Pakan.
Hey indexers, hope it's going well. Create a little, I need the hype up music, come on.
And we're back.
I love that.
Tonight, breaking news.
All right, let me share my slides. So try to put together a little video, right? Are you ready for Project Watch? Rename the emoji. So, right. I shared a little slide that maybe gives some info. Let me share my screen real fast. Try to figure out how to do that with the joys of technology.
Still right there near. It's right there near your unmute mic on the screen. If you
boomer.
If you're having any issues, let me know and I can.
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. It was more just Google Slides. Yeah, I'm on one screen, so the struggle. Usually, I have all the monitors. Let me know if you can't see what's going on, and my best to troubleshoot. But
we can
really just perfect. So from the indexer repo, 2 big updates. Ford's working on a fix for the max gas that's been kind of annoying the heck out of everyone. So I'm really excited to share that a fix for that should be coming soon, soon TM, but sooner rather than later. So keep an eye out on Discord for that. And I think that that'll make your lives a lot easier. So hopefully that's an early holiday gift. And then we're still not done with this kind of auto-resolving grafting, but we're kind of hard at thought trying to figure out the best way to approach this from an engineering side, but also from a protocol econ side. So keep an eye out on the forum maybe for some thoughts on that coming also soon, TM. And then quickly pivoting to GraphNode. I'm pretty hyped on this, but a new PR for aggregations is coming out. It's not the whole aggregations picture, but our team's been hard at work trying to get this subgraph feature out to kind of aggregate data across buckets, which is pretty sick. And so I'd encourage you to check out this link and keep an eye out on that. And there should be some markdown files that have more user-facing kind of docs that might give you some context too. So I'd be curious to hear what you all think. And then kind of more on the alpha train, teasing some things. We may or may not be starting work on a proof of concept, thinking about how to enable SQL queries on existing infra. Yeah, we've been having some fun. And then also thinking about how to compose data across subgraphs, which is another highly requested feature. So we're heads down, but we're thinking about some cool stuff and excited to share it with you all soon. And then, but wait, there's more. As we've been promising for a while, there's some queries, both Prometheus and SQL, for the hosted service Grafana panels. This is not all the panels, but try to copy some of the most useful ones according to the Graph Node Ops team. And so I'd encourage you to check out this resource. Let me know what you think. I'll share a feedback survey soon just to get feedback from you all to see if it's actually useful or not. But hopefully this will support you on your Grafana endeavors. And with that, I'd just like to say thanks and happy holidays.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So before we get into today's main discussion, I thought it'd be a good time to say that we're going to take a short break for the Christmas period in terms of IOH. It's been a pleasure running this episode of this show for, I guess, the entire year. It's insane how much the whole ecosystem has evolved and how much work has been done and all the fantastic conversations we've had throughout the year. Yeah, I'm just very grateful to each and every one of you who show up every week to come to this, have great discussion. We're going to be back on the 9th of January, so make sure you mark your calendars. Of course, we'll put everything in Discord so you can keep up to date with anything that happens in between now and then. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to the GraphOps team. So we've got 𝗨𝗀𝗂𝗧, who's going to talk to us all about Subgraph Radio. So 𝗨𝗀𝗂𝗧, if you're ready, fire away.
Can you guys hear me fine?
Yeah,
I suppose. Yes.
Yep, loud and clear.
Perfect. Okay, I will share my screen. 1 second. Okay, so breaking news. Subgraph Radio 1.0.0, the first stable release has been launched. So let's see what that entails. First off, before we get into all of the exciting new things, I want to mention that Subgraph Radio right now is running. 14 active indexers are running Subgraph Radio, and the Subgraph coverage is 860. So that's on mainnet and Arbitrum 1. And here we've listed the top ones. Of course, the top first one being Payne with 609 subgraphs that he is sharing POIs for onto the GraphCast network. So I hope this just gives everyone kind of an idea about the information flowing with the help of Subgraph Radio right now. Now let's talk about the actual 1.0 release. So a few major improvements have been made, including improvements to the database persistence model, which was based on a JSON file, but now it's actually a real database. So whenever you rerun Subgraph Radio, all of the data is going to be persisted, and it's going to stay between reruns, so you don't lose anything. With that, the whole process became a lot faster and more performance. So now when you use, for instance, the GraphQL API. It's going to be a lot faster than it was, and yeah, we'll talk about that more in a bit. We've also added more configuration validations. So now, if anything is wrong with your initial setup, the radio will fail to start, and it will give you proper information on what's happening. Also, the whole GraphCast network is now a lot more scaled. So we are using Waku's relay protocol now, and without getting too much into that, that basically means that individual radios um, can receive all of the messages and then transmit them onto the network on their own. Because before we were focused, we had a few central nodes that did that, and they were responsible for um, just the sharing of messages across the network. But now every radio does that. So basically, it will be a lot smoother, and no messages will be missed, and just the rate of the message exchange will be faster. And we did add a lot more end-to-end test scenarios to make sure that everything is stable and running fine. Now, in terms of recommended actions, when you upgrade to version 1.0, obviously the first one is to actually upgrade, and it's really important because the message traffic is going to be forked. So if you're running on the older versions, you are not going to get messages from radios that are running version 1, and vice versa. Um, Another important thing to keep in mind is now that we've moved to a SQLite database instead of a JSON file, you will need to specify the SQLite file path. So you no longer need the persistence file path that we had before. And just, yeah, two very small changes. We had a configuration variable called coverage, which is now split into gossip topic coverage and auto upgrade coverage. So gossip topic coverage is basically what it was before, which is the level of coverage of subgraphs that you want to opt into receiving messages about. Now, by default, the setting for that variable is comprehensive, so you could technically not set it and you'll still be fine. But just keep in mind that if you've specified a different level of coverage, you will need to update this and the auto upgrade coverage. And the auto upgrade coverage refers to the coverage of the messages that you received for subgraph upgrades. But yeah, all of that is in the docs and in the demos that we recorded a month ago, which will be linked in this presentation. Another neat thing is that you no longer need a Slackbot token and a Slack channel as configuration variables. Now we've moved a lot more to the Discord webhook kind of approach. So now you just need to provide a Slack webhook, and that will handle everything with the notification messages. So yeah, you definitely should be running Subgraph Radio. Subgraph Radio is now included by default in the amazing 𝗨𝘀𝗀𝗳𝗂 Docker Compose stack. So if you use that, just be sure to update your stack so that you will also be using Subgraph Radio, and you don't even need to change any. I mean, you don't need to specify any of the variables unless you want to customize something. It will work with the variables that you already use within the 𝗨𝘀𝗀𝗳𝗂 stack. Subgraph Radio is also included by default in the amazing Launchpad stack. So yeah, it will be there if you use one of those. And now, yeah, I just wanted to touch again on one of these major points on what benefits do indexers get when they run Subgraph Radio. So the first one is, of course, you are helping to facilitate the exchange of data among all of the indexers and other participants about everything related to subgraphs. And to be a bit more specific, the most important thing here is, of course, that you will be able to get notified about POI divergences as they happen live when you set one of the notification options. Then the next thing is the subgraph upgrade pre-syncing. So Subgraph Radio supports the subgraph upgrade pre-sync feature, and it would be amazing if a lot of indexers start to support that, because then a lot of subgraph developers can know that they can signal to the indexers when they plan on releasing a new version of that subgraph. So that whole process could be a lot more streamlined. Yeah, of course, alongside all of that, you will get access to real-time aggregated network intelligence data, and you can view that in the Grafana dashboard. We do have a configuration for that in the subgraph radio repository. And last but not least, of course, with things like subgraph radio, honestly, the more people use it, the more useful it becomes, because then you get a lot more data to compare with, and yeah, it keeps getting better and better. Now, in terms of demo, there are pretty lengthy demos on YouTube on everything related to subgraph radio. But I guess I just wanted to highlight that the Grafana dashboard is very valuable to just see how your radio is doing, how your subgraphs are doing, how many matches you have, how many divergent subgraphs you have, and all of this other good stuff that you can view there. Yeah, of course, the notifications are very valuable. And just as a reminder, there are different notification settings. So if you would prefer to get like just one big notification summary a day, or if you would like to receive notifications about divergences on a set interval, say like 1 hour or 3 hours, or, of course, there's the live option to get notified whenever the radio detects a diversion. So whatever best fits your preferences. And yeah, last but not least, subgraph radio supports a really rich GraphQL API, where you can dive into the radio's state, and you can see all of the messages that you've received. You can see all of the POI comparisons that have happened, and it's just a great way to dive deeper when you're wondering why something is happening, or just a great way to get the most out of subgraph radio, even beyond what you can get on Grafana and with the notifications. And again, all of these things are covered at length in the demos, so I would encourage anyone who wants to learn more about any of this to check out the demos on YouTube. Yeah, so start using subgraph radio now, please. And you can check our docs, you can check all of the workshops that we have on YouTube, and you can always message us on the GraphCast channel, or just DM me or anyone else from the team. Yeah, thank you.
All right, we've got tons of time now. There you go. Clap, clap, clap. We've got tons of time now to do Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, please do fire away in the chat, or feel free to unmute your mic. I see that Hope is answering questions in the chat, which is awesome. And then Chris has just linked the subgraph radio documentation. So yeah, feel free to check that out.
If anyone has questions, maybe we have a question for you. From GraphOps, as you know, we are building long-term products for indexers. So I think could be really interesting for us to know if are you currently running subgraph radio, and for example, if not, what's stopping you from running the radio currently? I think could be really helpful for us, this kind of feedback.
Any thoughts there to Billy's question? I'm just seeing a lot of action in the chat, seeing that questions are being answered, so that's good to see. But I mean, we've spoken about subgraph radio in the past, so and I think people have said a few things as to what's stopping them. But if anyone else has anything, feel free to say it now, because basically everyone here who's working on subgraph radio, who's working on subgraph radio is here right now. So we'd love to get some feedback.
Yeah, and if you are also already using subgraph radio, could be also a very good opportunity to share what would you like to see in terms of new features, improvements, so we can work on this.
I see a lot of people typing in the chat, so let's see if anything comes of that.
I think there are two interesting questions on the chat. Maybe Petko, Hope, Chris can look at them.
Well, I guess like a bit on Vince's question. I guess it's with the divergence info. Like first thing you would see when the divergence happens, which is great for the individual indexer. But also just sharing that information with the network when you run subgraph radio is also very, very valuable. And we are thinking about ways to kind of aggregate all of that data from all of the messages and like have some way of displaying that, or having a central place for reports. So definitely sharing is more than enough. And yeah.
Looks like we got a new one in the house. Steak Machine just got his subgraph radio up and running. Let's go.
LFG, I love to see that. That's awesome.
Our Steak Machine is actually one of the first that was running subgraph radio, so definitely huge thanks.
There's a question in the chat about the benefits and usage of subgraph radio, and it might be worth covering that quickly. We've covered this many times before, so I'll try to give a concise version. But the idea of subgraph radio is that it allows indexers to share gossip with one another about subgraphs, and then take actions based on that gossip, or automate things, or generally improve their operations. Today, subgraph radio has two main features. The first is proof of indexing cross-checks. So this kind of gossip sends out these proofs of indexing and compares proofs of indexing with other indexers, and can alert you if your local POI for your indexer starts to diverge from the consensus POI. Then the next feature we call subgraph upgrade pre-syncing, and this allows subgraph developers to warn indexers ahead of time that they're going to be upgrading a subgraph. And this allows indexers to begin pre-syncing that subgraph, at that moment. And that kind of gives an indexer an advantage because they're kind of getting a validated signal from the subgraph developer that the upgrade is coming, and they can basically begin pre-syncing before anyone who isn't running subgraph radio and doesn't receive that signal. So those are the two major features today. Part of what we're working on is kind of more of a generalized pipeline inside of subgraph radio to kind of process the gossip that's received and materialize results. And we're hoping to use that to create kind of like a generalized network intelligence. So things like subgraph errors or stats like, how long does a subgraph take to sync, or, how many entities are in the database, things like that are all propagated in a decentralized manner, and there's like this layer of intelligence around subgraphs. So hopefully that answers that a little bit. If anyone has ideas or feedback, once again, we'd love to hear it, particularly from those that are not running subgraph radio. Subgraph radio has kind of been incorporated into the de facto stack for being an indexer. So everyone here, should be running it. I know many folks, are tied up with many, many things to do, and I fully understand that. But if anyone has chosen not to run subgraph radio for some reason, we'd love to know why.
Alrighty, any further questions? I see the chat is firing up. There's a lot of people going back and forth. Cool. If there are any other questions, again, feel free to pop into the chat box, or feel free to unmute your mic. We'll give this another 5 minutes or so, and then we can move on to the next section. Yes, that's actually the next section, Matthew. We got Pedro who's going to say a few words, I believe, about that after we finish discussion on the subgraph radio. Alrighty, final call for questions, thoughts, etc., before we move on to the next section. Yes, sir, that was me. I believe you've got a few things to say about the upgrade indexer, right? If I'm not mistaken, Pedro?
I don't think so, Abel. Maybe 𝗨𝗀𝗃𝗧 can cover that.
Oh, sorry, my mistake. I completely screwed that one up. No, it is about optimism. Optimism. You had an announcement there. Sorry. Another bait. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Is that right, Pedro? I saw in the chat about optimism. If not, we can always move on.
No, happy to. I mean, it's just a small thing, really. Yeah, we got to the sixth vote from the council, probably like 2 hours ago, and I got an update from the 𝗨𝗀𝗃𝗧𝗂 team. Sounds like everything is being prepared at the network level, meaning EBO, SAO, and so indexing rewards should be activated on mainnet monitoring stuff. But yeah, that was a quick update I wanted to share.
Awesome. Very exciting. So as it relates to the upgrade indexer, Matthew, we'll cover that at a later date, I guess. We've already, I think, done extensive coverage on that, but if there are any lingering questions or anything, either feel free to type in the chat now or DM me and I can get some answers for you in between now and when we next speak about it, probably around January 9th beyond. Cool. All right. The next section that we have, I thank you very much, by the way, to all of the folks from the GraphCast team, sorry, the GraphOps team, who have shared some amazing updates with us. And of course, if any questions, please do reach out to us. Chris has posted a link to the GitHub where you can add some issues in case you have any specific things you want to suggest there. So yeah, thank you very much to each and every one of the GraphOps team for being here and for sharing the update there. Alrighty, now I am very fortunate to say that we have a guest who's going to be joining us for ChainWatch. And for those of you who have forgotten what ChainWatch is where we bring on folks who are part of several different teams who would like the graph to index their chain and just say a few words a bit about their chain, what it is, how to run a node in their network, as well as just answer any sort of general technical questions. So each and every one of you as indexers are best prepared to support that chain. And today I'm very excited to announce we have Martin, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly, from 𝗨𝗃𝗧𝗏, who's going to do exactly that. He's going to tell us a bit about 𝗨𝗃𝗧 and how you guys as indexers can support the network in the best way possible. So Martin, if you're here, feel free to unmute your mic. You should have the presenter role, so you should have the ability to say a few words. If not, then we can try to get that sorted for you. So yeah, go ahead. A warm welcome from IOH as ever.
Thank you. It's I hope you can hear me. I think my mic is okay.
Yep, loud and clear.
Yes, sir. Yes, loud and clear.
Awesome. Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me in this last index office hour of 2023. I think everybody is excited for 2024, including 𝗨𝗃𝗧𝗏. So I'm here to talk a little bit about 𝗨𝗨𝗏. I will not take too much of your time. If you don't know 𝗨𝗨𝗏 network, I don't blame you. We are mainly focusing on in the Asian market. We are the leading chain in Japan, and we have been doing a lot of activities in the Japanese area. 𝗨𝗨𝗏 this week actually we became like 2 years on our mainnet, and we are a parachain on Polkadot. We started on Polkadot where we have a multi-virtual machine environment where we can have an environment for the EVM as well for an environment for the WebAssembly smart contracts. And because we are mainly focusing on Japan, are very closely working with the government and with a lot of enterprises as well who are located in Japan. This year was very special for us, and mainly because the Japanese government decided to put Web3 part of their national strategy. And the moment we saw that Web3 itself was like where the government heavily put a lot of efforts into getting more adoption on Web3, opens a lot of doors for us in the sense that we have been discussing with the government for more than 3 years. It's also one of the reasons why 𝗨𝗨𝗏 in the very beginning days in 2018 had to move out of Japan because of jurisdiction and regulation and compliance and so on. But now we have always fought to get Web3 more adopted, and we are very proud that Japan and the government decided to put Web3 as part of the national strategy, not only to strengthen Japan as a technology hub, but also to embrace the new technology that we all love so much. And with this adoption coming from Web3 in Japan, we, as one of the leading blockchains there, one of the leading public blockchains, we got a lot of demands or coming from enterprises who want to be ready for Web3 and are thinking about what can we do in our current infrastructure to improve the Web3 adoption as well. So, for instance, we did like hackathons together with Toyota to create a DAO culture inside their enterprise. We had done hackathons with Sony, Mazda recently as well. So we see a lot of traction coming from those enterprises into adopting the infrastructure that Web3 provides to improve everything that we currently have. And with this demand that we got, we also had a need to expand our tech stack as well, because we saw limitations that were happening on Polkadot. So we want to scale our infrastructure, and we also wanted to improve our current tech stack that we have. And this is where we started working very closely with Polygon Labs. And Polygon Labs as well provide us a lot of support and looking on how they as well can tap into the Japanese market. And we decided to create like a partnership and a collaboration together to build out the 𝗨𝗂𝗳𝗂𝗹 EVM layer 2 on Ethereum, powered by the Polygon CDK. So with this demand that we felt on from the enterprises and the projects we were talking with in Japan, we now started to build out our layer 2. Currently, we are in the testnet phase. Our testnet is live. We are doing this on Sepolia. We are currently did it with the ZK EVM rollup. We are now migrating to the Validium, working together with some of a great DA layer partner. This I still disclose who that will be. And this is where we as well needed as well a great indexer like Ethereum indexes who can support us with the adoption of those enterprises who want to tap into this Web3 space. And this is where we came very close with the Graph team and the integration team and started discussing as well. You can see as well the forum post that we did on the Graph forum. Feel free to check this out as well. So currently we are testing everything out to get as well the indexer of the Graph up and running on our testnet, and hopefully soon as well for our mainnet in Q1, everything will be spun out as well. So regarding, as I said before, we are working very closely with the Polygon CDK tech stack. So if you want to get more familiar in that part, or if you already are, it's very similar if you have knowledge about that. That's a tech stack to also run everything as well for 𝗨𝗂𝗳𝗂𝗹 EVM that is coming in Q1 for mainnet. How I can recommend you to check out what to do best to support us, to support our next phase, our next big chapter for 2024. Feel free to check out our documentation. So we have an extended documentation on 𝗨.network. You can go to documentation there or go directly with docs.𝗨.network, where we have like a dedicated section for 𝗨𝗂𝗳𝗂𝗹 EVM, as well on the ZK node site and how to run this and how to support us. There's a full documentation available on how to set up your local ZK node, as well as how to set up your ZK EVM RPC to support us. And this can get you like on the frontier step of supporting us as well for mainnet. Regarding the next questions that I see as well in this document, subscribing, the best way to coordinate if indexes need tech support is just in this Discord. I think you can always tag me. I'm usually always available. I'm not the hard tech guy in our team. I'm leading the foundation, but we have like very great DevOps team who can always answer all your questions, and I'm more than happy to bring them as well into the Discord to support any technical questions that you might have as well. I hope I see some questions regarding this, like an incentivized testnet. Wink. We don't have an incentivized testnet, but we do have some big plans coming up. So feel free to just check us out later on, and we are more than happy to share more information later. more of those big announcements that will be coming more closer to our mainnet launch in January, where we will spin up a lot of announcements as well for the upcoming campaign, for our launch campaign. So check this out as well. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. And if you would like to have more general questions regarding Astor, feel free to put them as well in this chat box, and I'm more than happy to give you all the answers. And if you're not bullish now on Japan, you should. Let me say it like this. It's great to see a country or like Japan, who's like the third biggest economic country in the world, looking to adopt Web3 and getting the support from this. For me, it shows a lot of adoption that is ready to come into the Asian market. Thank you. See, one of our team members here, Rams, is sharing a lot of the documentation links as well as more to our website. Feel free to check this out. I'm more than happy to join, Pedro. And thanks also, Pedro, for all the support that you gave us. Regarding the gas token on our L2, this will be ETH. We will be using ETH as gas token. Why is this? Because we already have like L1, who is the parachain. This is where the gas token is in the SR native token. But between our L1 that we will be building, or our L1 who's live on Polkadot, as well as our L2 on Ethereum, we are working very closely with Layer 0 to make the full interoperability between our L1 and L2. And this will also be for our native asset as well that will be bridged. Regarding the docs for this RPC, yes, but if you dive a little bit further regarding the local ZK node, you will see that there is like more information available. But like I said before, as you can see, we are very similar to the running a node as the Polygon CVE VM. So instead of just copy pasting all the documentation, we also like you to forward as well to the Polygon docs. We have in our documentation on the upper C the config that you need to have available to run it towards the Astar Zeek EVM. So check this out as well. The question from Anton regarding the prover and sequencer be centralized. This is the first phase, and we are working closely with Polygon Labs to include as well their shared sequencer, as well later on the liquidity layer, as well the unified LXLY bridge to make everything more decentralized as well. This is going hand in hand with the upgrades coming from Polygon Labs as well. I think the questions has stopped now. So for my final words to everybody here, first of all, thanks again for host for having me as a guest here in the final episode for this year. So for everybody here, I wish everybody here a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, enjoy the time with your family, and let's get ready for 2024.
Wow, what a wonderful way to sign off. Bullish, A star, bullish you, bullish Japan. Love that. Cool. Yeah, well, thank you very much for being here. It's been a pleasure hosting you. And yeah, this is the final IOH for 2023. It's been a fantastic year. Lots happened. We've got another 6 minutes before we wrap. So I thought, if anyone has any final thoughts as we come into the final uh, edition of IOH for 2023, I thought I'd just, open the mic, open the floor. Yeah, anyone want to say some words? Anyone want to shout anything out? Anyone want to say anything? The floor is yours. The Billy is typing. Oh, yes, of course. You don't want to miss out on this POAP. Billy's always good at reminding us about POAPs. I know that you guys love POAPs. Yeah, Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas. That is the secret word for today's POAP. Special one for the final edition of IOH for the year. So go get your POAPs, ladies and gentlemen, and enjoy. I see Chris is typing, Payne is typing. Quick maths, puzzle time. Yeah. Oh my God, I don't understand why what does this to us. It's like we do a whole ass puzzle and maths to get our POAPs. The things we have to do to get POAPs. Mary Chrysler. Lol. Alrighty. Well, if there aren't any final things, then I just want to wish each and every one of you a Merry Christmas if you do celebrate, and a Happy New Year. It's been a pleasure, being here for each and every one of these, and seeing familiar faces. And I look forward to 2024. It's going to be a fantastic year. We're already seeing some bullish signals for 2024. Lots going to be happening in that year. So I'm excited. I'm grateful. And we look forward to seeing you all again. Same time, January the 9th. Keep that in your diaries. January the 9th. That's when we'll be back. Take care. Bye-bye, everyone.